First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting my 16 female parents, 51 male and 43 female, to have shared custody of me? My parents are going through a divorce. It was a long time coming, and having to spend a lot more time together because they both had to work at home was the last straw. I know I probably sound a bit uncaring/icy about all of this, but at this point I think everyone is better off if they separate. The last 4 years have been marred with constant arguments, cheating, and whatnot. And my mom, in particular, has been using me as an emotional support animal, and I am sick of it. By some miracle granted by the very gods, they have been amicable, at least when it comes to splitting their finances, stuff they own, all of that. My mom moved to her new boyfriend, and my dad is keeping the house. Now that they got it all figured out, they only had one thing left to decide, and that is what to do with me. Unfortunately, they assumed I would want to spend 1 week at Dad's place, the other at my mom's place, and it's just a no for me. When they said what they had decided to do, I said no, and explained I wanted to stay with Dad. I gave the reason that I go to school here, my job is here, and I don't want it interrupted. In reality though, it has a lot more to do with me not liking my mom's boyfriend. One of the guys she cheated with, and before you ask, Dad cheated plenty of times too, who has 2 kids of his own. No interest in living with 2 random kids 50% of the time, who live with him full time. And I am just a lot closer to my dad in general. We are a lot more alike, and he isn't emotionally draining like Mom is. When I said this, Mom broke down and begged me to stay with her full time instead. I said no. She threatened to go to court over this, but my dad pointed out that was a waste of time because I am old enough to where my decision will pretty much be final. That was last week. My mom's side of the family has gotten involved since, telling me I need to keep my mom's feelings into account and support her, and my grandma's gone as far as to demand I go live with my mom instead. I am aware I am not the most empathetic person. Far from it. So I have a tendency to only look at things from my own side, but my mom is clearly broken up about this. She calls me several times a day crying. I want to know if I'm the a-hole here. Please be blunt. Now for the top comments. Not a a-hole. It's a sad state where you're the most adult in the whole situation. I think they're just emotional, mostly. That's true, but your mom says you need to take her feelings into consideration while she's disregarding your much more practical points, namely your school and job. She would have you uproot your own, established life to accommodate her poor decisions. Emotional or not, that's inconsiderate. Well, it is not like she's moving that far away. We currently live in this town and she's moving to the center of the next town over. My issue is that it would add about an hour to my travel time and I pay for my own gas. Cycling is not an option with that distance, and I'll be damned if I take public transport, especially in the evening, which is usually when I get out of work. Not the a-hole. My mom's side of the family has gotten involved since, telling me I need to keep my mom's feelings into account and support her. And your feelings don't count? I wonder why. It turns out they do count, and there isn't much they can do about it apart from the emotional blackmail. Luckily, it doesn't sound like it's working. You do what's right for you. Like I said, I am not a very emotional person, so their pressure, I guess you could call it, isn't working very well. I just had the idea that maybe I am wrong here in being an a-hole, which wouldn't be the first time, so why not ask people here? Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to visit my bio father who is seriously ill after he and my bio mother refused to see me for years? My 24 female, bio mother, 39 female, got pregnant with me when she was 14 and bio father was 17. When I was born, they gave me up for adoption to my parents. After that, they never wanted to know anything about me. They continued with their lives pretending that I never existed. When I turned 10, I wanted to contact my bio parents because I wanted to know more about them. But when my parents tried to contact them, they said they didn't want to see me nor know anything about me. And yes, it hurt me. But I didn't contact them again until I was 16. At that time, they had already graduated from college. They got married and had another daughter. I knew that because I always checked their Facebook. This time, I sent a message to my bio father, 41 male, and he was really rude. He told me that he didn't want to know anything about me, and that it was best to forget that they are my bio parents, that they had only one daughter, and that was the girl they had at the time. I told him that all I wanted was to know more about my family history, and he gave me his sister's 46 female number so that she could give me that information, and then he blocked me. Since then, I have been in contact with my aunt, and she's the only person in my bio family with whom I have a good relationship, and she was the one who gave my new phone number to my bio mother. And yesterday, she sent me a message saying that my bio father is really sick, and that he wants to see me to apologize for the things he did and said in the past. I didn't reply, and last night he was the one who called me and asked me to please go to their house to see him, that he's sick, and that he wants his other children to know that they have a sister, and that his wish is to see all his children together in case something bad happened to him. So I told him that I wasn't going to go, that they are not my siblings, and that they are not my parents, that my parents are the people who raised me and gave me all the love that they denied me during all these years. When I told him that, he started crying, and he told me that he was really sorry, that he and my bio mother were very young when I was born, and that they didn't know all the damage they were doing to me, but I ignored him and hung up the phone. My aunt called me and told me that he was very sorry, and that I was being a resentful brat, that I should leave the past behind and forgive my bio father. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to go? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They were young when they had you. They were not young when they rejected your attempts at contact and told you that you weren't their daughter. You don't owe him anything, least of all a way to solve his own conscience. Not the a-hole. This right here. They had plenty of time to build a relationship once they got their acts together. They didn't, and they should have no expectations of you. He was a grown man at 41 when he blocked you, and he needs to realize that and stop making excuses. I wonder what they have told your siblings. It sounds like they haven't told them anything, and even if you did go, are they expecting your siblings to take this news without any bumps? To find out that your parents had another child that they have never mentioned and have never tried to connect with? Bio dad may be in for more surprises and resentment. As for your aunt, still the a-hole but a gentler one. She's dealing with losing her brother, and I have a feeling that if your siblings don't know about you, she's probably under some stress about keeping her brother's secrets. But she has no right to point fingers at you when her brother and sister-in-law are the ones in the wrong. I hope you are taking care of yourself in all of this. Forgiveness and acceptance are hard, but I hope you found a measure of peace in your situation. It sucks, and they have done wrong by you, not for giving you up for adoption. They were young when that happened, but their adult choices have continued to hurt you. And for that, they have to realize that there are consequences, and that you owe them nothing. Oh look! Another adult who wants to leave this world with a clear conscience after shutting down every attempt to do so in the past. Not an a-hole. He's literally a stranger at this point. OP, this is wrong. They don't want to get to know you. This is for their sake alone, as harsh as it sounds. Not gonna lie, as someone with a bad childhood, I am low-key excited for this moment to come. I've been rehearsing the moments I refuse to forgive my parents for the years of neglect and abuse since I escaped them. Not a a-hole. It's funny how narcissistic people can never admit they were in the wrong until they really want something. Then it's always the victim's fault for holding on to the past. They made it clear they wanted nothing to do with you. You owe them nothing you don't want to give. If you do decide to see them, make sure it is because it is what you want, not for them. The bright side is that, at least you only have to worry about dealing with the aunt, rather than the whole entitled family. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my daughter petty for crying about not being mentioned in my award speech? In the area where I live, I have been a part of a professional association for 30 years ever since I was 26. Every year, there is an event where a number of awards are given out. This year, the event was held over Zoom, and I was told that I had been nominated for the Lifetime Achievement Award. My daughter, 27, decided to get tickets. My ex-wife, 56, also bought tickets because my son, 16, wanted to be there. I was happy they decided to be there. I am obviously on speaking terms with my ex-wife because of our minor son, and the more the merrier. My wife of the year, 30, and our son, 1, of course were always going to be my guests, so they listened in. I honestly didn't expect to win and didn't want to jinx things by preparing a speech, but when the time came, they announced my name. I was ecstatic because this was the highest honor to be given. My wife and my son were hugging me and she kissed me on the cheek. So I started off my speech with that I was sitting here tonight with my beautiful wife and my wonderful son. I said that I'd like to thank them for their support and owe everything I have and continue to do to them. After saying that, I didn't know how to add in anybody else, so I thanked the professional association and ended the speech. Yesterday, I was in therapy with my older kids, and ex-wife and my daughter was sullen the whole session, and finally started railing against me for ignoring the three of them during my speech, and said that my ex-wife could have been just as successful as me in my profession given how many ideas she's given me in helping me start my business, and that they were the ones dealing with my late nights and absences and being poor for many years. I explained to all three of them that I didn't know I would win, and that I was obviously going to acknowledge the people who were currently besides me, and was tongue-tied. My daughter didn't seem to accept that explanation and continued crying. I finally told her that at this point, she's just being petty because of old grudges, and my son stood up and said, "Excuse us for being with you at the starting line." My ex-wife also started crying, and the therapy session ended there. Am I the a-hole for thinking that 3 weeks is enough time to get over sour grapes over a simple speech? You're the a-hole. You said you owe everything to your current wife and small child. I'd say she's pretty justified, especially considering they paid to be there. If I wasn't related to you and heard that, I'd think you had no other children. You may have been tongue-tied, but what you said was thoughtless and insensitive. Yeah, his wife of 1 year somehow helped with his career for 30 years. Her and no one else. Exactly. And their 1-year-old son was a huge help. You're the a-hole. I'm not going to mention the fact that your new wife is 3 years older than your daughter. Oops. And like 26 younger than you? Oops again. But honestly, seems like someone, hint, you, just wanted to show off his much younger bride. So instead of thanking the people that had been by your side for almost the entire time you had been doing this job, the people that had stuck by you even when times were tough, and when you were not present, you chose to thank the person that, honestly, had done the least for you. You're the a-hole of the day. This right here, a deep and all-encompassing you're the a-hole. It truly floored me to read how incredibly dense Opie is being about this. No empathy or consideration for anyone but himself. I said that I'd like to thank them for their support and owe everything I have and continue to do to them. I owe them everything because throughout my life, it was my motivation to be rich and successful enough to get a trophy wife my daughter's age. That drove me to all my successes. You're the a-hole, massively. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister, single mom, money for a car when I can't afford to do so? I, female 17, have an online shop that I've been running for about 2 years now. It sells mostly stickers with my custom art, as well as some other small items. I put a lot of work into it. Basically, if I'm not doing school stuff, I'm working on stuff for my shop. I love it. The pandemic has let me put even more time in, and over the past 10 months, it's done really well. I have a good chunk of money saved for university and other things. My sister, 25 female, is divorced with 2 kids, 1 male and 2 female. She has a job and child support. We've never gotten along. She always acted like she was embarrassed of me. She said I'm an anti-social nerd loser, which is fair, lol. One of the things she always made fun of me was my sticker hobby. She said stickers were juvenile and I'm just creating more garbage in the world. So, she totaled her car recently and can't afford a new one. My parents told her to ask me for a loan. They can't afford to help her. And she sort of scoffed and asked them how much a loser like me could have. I don't even work. They told her how much I have in my bank account. And she called me demanding I buy her a new car. Not asking, demanding. She said I didn't need the money, that I could get student loans like she did, and that I was a bad sister for not offering to help her out, / pay her when I knew how tough she had it. She eats out all the time, buys expensive clothes, / shoes, / bags, makeup palettes, trips to the spa and with her friends, pre-COVID. I had no idea she had it tough, but in fairness, even if I had, I probably wouldn't have given her money. At no point in this convo did she mention paying me back. She said that I've never contributed anything to the family, which is a joke coming from her, and that further to buying her a new car, I should give her what I make from my dumb hobby, since as a single mom, she needs the money much more than I do, as I live rent-free at home and don't contribute to bills or groceries. The thing is, she's not wrong, but I don't want to give her a cent. She's my sister and I love her, but I don't like her very much. She's selfish and entitled, and it bugs me she just makes these demands like I'm the one being unreasonable. So I said hell no, and that she probably is too good for my baby sticker money anyway. I wouldn't want her to stoop to my level. Then I hung up and stopped responding to her texts, /calls, /DMs. My parents won't force me to do anything. They say it's up to me, but that I should reconsider. She's my sister and is having a hard time, and there are 2 babies involved. They need a car. I don't strictly need the money right away like she does, and I was pretty snarky with her. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If she wanted money from you, then she should at least try to be nice to you. Keep your sticker money for college. You are only 17, a minor. You don't have to contribute to the family. It is the job of the family to support you. My sister is rarely nice to anybody. Lol. She sounded genuinely furious with me on the phone though, which threw me off. And I wondered if it was coming from a place of fear/desperation. My niece and nephew are sweet, and I hate to think of them hurting because of bad blood between me and their mom. Do not give her any money. She made her bed, let her lay in it. You are 17, learn from her mistakes, and save as much money as you possibly can. Also, to hell with your parents for telling their grown daughter to ask a 17-year-old for money. Shame on all of them. Buy yourself a nice car. I won't. She's just so mean that it just puts me off, and her baby daddy still has a car and is in their lives. Other posts mentioned she can get a bank loan or her insurance should give her money, which I didn't even think of, so she'll probably be fine on the car front. Not at a-hole, and protect that money however you can. I suspect parents will subvert you and take it when you stick to your guns. I don't think my parents would do that. I offered to help them out with some bills when my shop started to make some money and they shot that down hard. Said it was my money that I earned, and I will never pay them for that kind of thing. I was pretty upset they told her how much money I had though. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.
Am I the a-hole for getting my new coworker fired for falsely accusing me of being racist? Hi, I work in healthcare and this has been a huge stir among my coworkers, and most are hugely divided. This was sometime last year, and I waited a bit for anonymity's sake. I work in the ER as a nurse. There was a new nurse working who was in her first week working with me that day. I was talking to the CNA about a new patient I had just got. I should note, this patient's name includes either a racial slur or a racist nickname for their race. I don't want to elaborate on what their name is for patient privacy. I know it's not great to say it, but hypothetically you could think of it as being Mr. Ching Chong. So I said to the CNA, I need to go check on Mr. Mrs. Blank. The new nurse gave me a crazy look and said, I can't believe you just called your patient that. I tried to stop her and explain that, hey, that's actually his name. But she kept yelling and cussing at me, calling me a racist. It was super embarrassing and it got the attention of several staff members, patients, and visitors. After she calmed down and breathed for a second, the CNA told her that it's the patient's legal name. She looked in disbelief, and she was shown their chart. She awkwardly laughed and apologized, but the damage was done. I went to HR right after my shift ended, and they fired her within an hour. She was in her 90-day period, and they figured it wasn't worth it to keep her when she had already created a hostile work environment. Several coworkers have defended her and said she thought she was standing up to racism. I think she should have let me freaking speak after she said I can believe you said that, because I was about to tell her that it was their actual name. I don't think screaming and going off like that in the workplace is appropriate anyways. Am I the a-hole? I need some peace of mind on the subject. Now for the top comments. But she kept yelling and cussing at me. Several co-workers said she thought she was standing up to racism. Not the a-hole. She didn't just get fired for calling you a racist. She also made a huge scene in a professional setting with patients around. Not the a-hole. They fired her for her lack of professionalism. She behaved incredibly unprofessionally, and she was fired for that. Not because she stood up to racism. Everyone should take a stand against racism, but yelling, screaming, etc. is not standing up to racism. That is just behaving unprofessionally. Had she taken it to HR or her supervisor, that would have been different. People hate HR, but this is exactly why it exists. If the new coworker had gone to HR, she could have just said something to them. HR goes back and checks it out and maybe even handles it with OP never knowing. And then there's not a rift in staff, or this person being forced to leave for flying off the handle about something she was wrong about. I went to HR right after my shift ended, and they fired her within an hour. A nurse was fired for yelling at a co-worker and apologizing. Must be a pretty well-staffed ER if that one incident was enough to get her canned. Most ERs will even let you get away with yelling at a patient once. There's 3 nursing schools within 60 minutes of where I live. We actually don't struggle for staffing. I've been here for 10 years. They are quick to fire anyone for any racial issues, etc. If someone comes across as a pot stirrer in their first 90 days, they will be let go quickly. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not caring if I made coworker late? When I started my new job, I found out that a woman who lives in the same complex as I do had started working there as well. She and I struck up a conversation, and after a week, we decided to carpool. It was great, a gas saver, and it's been working out pretty much perfectly. Except she has 2 kids who are really into long goodbyes, crying and whatnot, while her husband makes a minimal effort to get them so we can leave. When it's her turn to drive, I've been late a couple of times because, in her words, the kids were having a meltdown and her husband couldn't handle it, so she had to calm them down before leaving. I'm not talking majorly late. I'm talking about cutting into our grace period, and I don't like to consistently abuse our grace period. Well, this morning when I bent down like I do every morning to say goodbye to my baby boy, he climbed out of his bed, curled up around my arm, and put his head on me before going back to sleep. So I stayed there and let him sleep for another 15 minutes. She was calling my phone, and I kept telling her I was on my way. I finally got there, and she asked me what happened. I told her, and she got mad and asked me how I could make her late because of a damn cat. I told her we've been late before because of her children, and she absolutely said that was not the same thing, and I shouldn't compare it, because that's just an animal. I said, well, that animal is my baby, and anytime he needs me, I'm going to be there. So if that's an issue, I understand if you don't want to carpool anymore. She didn't say anything else on the way to work, but I heard through office gossip that she told people I made her late because of a cat. Laughing out loud. I'm fine with not carpooling with her anymore. Edit. He is 4 months old. He's about 3 pounds. He's a void, completely black with a tiny whisper of white on his belly. He's the cutest little thing. I wanted to post a picture, but it wouldn't let me. His name is Lucky. I just wanted to happily vent because I'm fine ending our carpool relationship. Wasn't my idea in the first place. I have PTO. I have an excellent attendance record, and I'm also good at my job. So if I decide to be late because of my cat, I can absorb the blow with no impact. If I choose to be late or take a day off because of my cat, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Turnabout is fair play. Fair exchange ain't no robbery. And a million other things my father used to say. The people in these comments have shown me that some folks are way too comfortable being disrespected, tucking their tails between their legs and walking away. You don't get to treat me a certain way and then dictate how I respond. For those of you who live your life that way, more power to you, but I'm not the one. Now for the top comments. Stop carpooling. Exactly. It looks like this arrangement isn't working for either of us. Let's go back to commuting separately. Not the a-hole, and I definitely would have bailed on that carpool the second time she made me late. She's pretty much lacking in self-awareness. Totally agree here. Funny how her kid's drama is fine, but a cuddly kitten nap is outrageous. Lucky's got more chill and empathy than she does. Not the a-hole. Oh, so her kid's crying is a valid reason to be late, but your emotional support furball doesn't count? Nah. If we're playing the empathy Olympics, it goes both ways. You gave her the same grace she expected from you. If she can't handle that, then yeah, solo rides it is. Enjoy the playlist. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't like her music anyway, lol. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not leaving my planters or landscaping when I move? So I'm moving soon. I bought a house and I can't wait. Recently, the people who bought my current house stopped by, which I always thought was a no-no unless you're selling to people you actually know, which is not the case. The reason for their visit was because they want me to leave my lawn decorations, including my planters, and they also want me to landscape the lawn for them. They said they saw pictures of the lawn from last year and that it was one of the selling points, and they want me to do this at no extra cost to them. I told them no, that the planters were very expensive, and the cost to buy the plants and do the work was more than I wanted to take on, especially when I have a new lawn that I need to take care of. They said they may need to back out of the sale if that's the case. Here's the thing, I know a few things about real estate. My mother and her husband work in real estate, so I've picked up on a few things. Both houses are under contract, and if they were to try and pull out of the sale, then I can exercise a no cancellation clause. I could either sue them or force the sale of the house on them. I told them this as well. I also told them it's a small lawn, and between the two of them, it wouldn't take long to do, and they can add their own touches. They called me an a-hole, and one of my neighbors told me I should just do it to leave the house on a good note. I told them I'm already leaving on a good note because I'm scrubbing all the rugs, washing the windows, painting, fixing holes, and doing a general deep cleaning. So, am I the a-hole for not leaving my planters and landscaping when I move? Not the a-hole. I would contact my listing agent and talk to them about this. That buyer should not be coming around talking to you about anything outside the contract. I was always under the impression that you are not supposed to have any contact between both parties, and if there is anything that needs to be discussed, it goes through the agents. If you are selling to someone you know, then it's different. But this is not the case, so to me they have done a couple of things wrong. Not the a-hole. If the sales contract did not say that planters were being left, there is no obligation to do so. Landscaping the lawn is the new owner's responsibility. Again, unless there is a provision saying otherwise, which would be weird, but very noticeable. They are demanding what they want, not what they are entitled to. Tell the neighbor he can help them and be on great terms with his new neighbors, if you even speak to them again. I think the only reason the neighbor is on their side is because he doesn't want me to move. But I did tell him to help them since he really does nice work. His lawn looks better than mine. Next story. Am I the a-hole for winning my mom's storage unit at auction instead of giving her the money to save it herself? I, 24 female, was in and out of the foster care system. My mom would lose custody of me and my 3 siblings only to do the bare minimum to get us back, just for the cycle to repeat. I eventually aged out of foster care, went to college, and moved to another state. I still check in with my mom every week. She was diagnosed with heart failure, which came on from other terrible decisions. I offer support when she reaches out, whether it's with money, food, etc. Most of the time, I don't hear back. And when I do, it's usually because she wants something. She has a long history of lying to and stealing from all of us. She's currently homeless. We have offered her a place to stay if she gets clean, and she won't. After we turned 18, we reconnected with our extended family, grandparents and cousins, and those relationships have become important to us. A couple of months ago, she called me in a panic at 2 o'clock in the morning. She said her storage units were about to be auctioned off, that she wasn't even behind on payments, and that the owners were trying to scam her. She needed $1,000 immediately because there were only 15 hours left before the auction. I told her I'd check in the morning once I got to work and see what I could do. The next day, I did some digging and looked at the contents of the storage units. What was listed broke my heart. Family photos, vases from great-grandparents, personal documents, birth certificates, social security cards. my mom's clothing and tools, and everything from my grandmother's house. She passed away just last year. I decided to bid on the unit myself and ended up spending nearly $1,200 for it. Afterward, I spoke to the owners, who told me they'd been trying to help my mom for months. Discounts, payment extensions, etc. But eventually, she just stopped answering them. They said they had no other option but to auction it. I was devastated. My siblings said that if I hadn't stepped in, all of those memories and important documents would have ended up in a stranger's hands. My siblings were relieved and grateful. But my mom, she accused me of violating her trust, told me I emotionally robbed her, that I stole from her, and said I was a mistake. She even claimed our grandparents would be ashamed of me. I ended up taking a few days off work, drove out of state to the unit, and went through everything. I only kept what belonged to me and my siblings: photos, documents, anything tied to our family history. I didn't throw away a single item of hers. Instead, I rented a new storage unit just down the road, moved all her belongings there, and paid 3 months in advance. I gave her all the information. Now I'm stuck with this heavy feeling. I can't shake the guilt, like I crossed the line or sank to her level somehow. But at the same time, I couldn't bear to see everything important to us vanish, especially knowing it would probably happen again in 6 months. Am I the a-hole for buying the storage unit out from under her? First off, you are not the a-hole, not by a long shot. Next, from this internet stranger to you, I am so sorry for this painful situation. I know this is a difficult time for you and your family. Most importantly, though, please take the time to be very gentle with yourself during this time. It sounds like you're carrying a big burden with you. Other people's words and pain, memories that perhaps aren't yet healed, and many other things. The heavy feeling you said you're stuck with, the guilt and concern you feel, are very real feelings, and I hope you truly give yourself space and grace to feel them, to cry, to vent, and even to laugh when needed. I wonder if the feelings you describe might also be a sort of grief. Grief over the situation, grief over your mother's health, grief over the evident pain your mother is experiencing in life that led things to get this bad, and even grief over an innocence, or just a time in your life that you may realize isn't there anymore. Consider also being deliberate in the language you use to describe what just happened. Buying it out from under her sounds different than a reframe like saving important family treasures and helping the family. Are there ways you can describe this differently in the words you use? Are the things Mom is saying actually being spoken from her place of pain and fear, not from her truest sense of love? Lastly, again, I am sorry for your situation here and sincerely hope that things get better. Thank you for taking the time to write such a meaningful post. I appreciate your kindness, as it has helped me see the situation as it is. There is a lot of truth in what you've written. Working on myself has been a journey that will never end. I honestly felt all right until she called me. The things she said broke my heart. I do not want to hurt her. I feel the need to win her over and make her proud, and I know that makes me sound ridiculous as an adult, but I can't shake it. After reading some of the comments, I see it clearly from both sides. I think I need to take more time to process how I feel about the situation and see where I can go from there. Next story. Am I the a-hole for reporting my parents for taking out debt in my name? I'm 22 and just finished my 3rd year of university. Until recently, I was living with my parents. We've always had a decent relationship, though they've been strict at times. Recently, I started planning to move out. I found a rental I really liked, but during the application process, I discovered that my credit score was extremely low. I was confused since I've never opened any credit accounts or loans in my name. After some digging, I realized my parents had taken out multiple credit cards and loans under my name. It totaled around $60,000. I hadn't known about any of this, and they never gave me access to the mailbox, and I wasn't receiving any bills. When I confronted them, they said they did it during a tough financial period and planned to pay it off, but had fallen behind. They insisted I was overreacting and that this was temporary. I asked them to take full responsibility and clear the debt. I also asked for more independence in the house while I figured things out, including being allowed to have my boyfriend visit or stay over. They refused both. They told me I was being disrespectful and that I had no right to make demands while living under their roof. I didn't see a path forward, so I asked my aunt if I could stay with her temporarily. She agreed and was very supportive. After hearing everything, she encouraged me to report the situation to the police. I did. My parents were charged with identity theft. They're extremely angry and have told the rest of the family that I betrayed them. I didn't want things to end up this way, but I genuinely felt like I had no choice. I couldn't see a future for myself if I was stuck with this debt and still under their control. I feel guilty because I know this will have long-lasting consequences for them, but at the same time, I feel like I need to protect my future. Am I the a-hole for involving the police and pressing charges against my own parents? Not the a-hole. If you don't want to be charged with identity theft, don't commit identity theft. Yeah, that's right. Thanks. I really appreciate your response. Don't forget, besides the illegal activity, they tried to sabotage your future. Your family has no reason to be upset with you for looking out for yourself when you were abused financially, especially to the tune of $60,000. Not the a-hole. And please make sure to lock your credit as well as NCTUE. NCTUE handles utilities and isn't always covered just by locking your credit reports. Not the a-hole. They would have ruined your credit. It's already ruined as it is. I'll need a miracle to cover it back. Am I the a-hole for refusing to chip in for a co-worker's wedding gift after literally being uninvited? Alright people, I'm gonna need your hot takes on this office drama that's been driving me insane. So I, 27 female, have been working at this marketing agency for about 2 years. My co-worker Jess, 31 female, is getting married next month and initially invited our whole team, 8 people, to her wedding. We're not like besties, but definitely friendly. Lunch together sometimes, happy hours, the usual work friend stuff. Last week, our office manager Sarah started collecting money for a group gift. She's asking for $200 each, which would get us some fancy kitchen gadget from their registry. That's basically what I'd budget for someone I'm actually friends with, but whatever. I was planning to contribute. Well, yesterday, I got the most awkward text from Jess, saying they had to make some cuts to the guest list, and unfortunately, they couldn't accommodate me anymore. Something about venue capacity and family additions. But here's the kicker. I know for a fact that everyone else on our team is still invited. This morning, Sarah comes by my desk asking for my contribution to the gift fund. I politely told her that since I'm no longer invited, I'd rather get Jess a smaller gift on my own. Sarah looked shocked and said, "But it's a team gift, and that not contributing the full amount would mess up the group harmony, like I give a single damn." The icing on the cake? I know the wedding cut was because Jess invited her old co-worker who just got a VP position at a major client. Suddenly, there's no room for me, but I'm still expected to drop $200 on her registry? Can someone please tell me the truth? Am I the a-hole for refusing to contribute the full amount to a wedding I'm not even attending? Now for the top comments. Don't give her a thing. Nothing. Not even a card. No invitation. No gift. She's the victim of some serious office politics. Sorry, Jess, but the only gift you're getting from me is my attendance at your wedding via the office livestream. Yeah, when Sarah asks again, simply reiterate that since you are no longer invited, you don't want to give anything. You don't need to justify it further. $200 is an outrageous ask for a coworker in the first place, unless you make a really high salary. Even so, I wouldn't do it. You're completely not the a-hole, but be prepared for some dirty looks. This $200 is for someone who is a close friend or a family member, not Jane from marketing who you occasionally have lunch or drinks with and are friendly with. OP, not the a-hole. Tell your coworker that since you are not invited, you will not be contributing to the gift and the team members who are invited can contribute to the gift. If your coworker is shocked, tell her straight up that the bride rescinded your invitation, so she could invite an old coworker instead, so they can talk to that person about contributing the $200. Yeah, I gave my sister $50 at her wedding, and I was in the wedding. That was a decade ago. I'd probably be comfortable with $100 for someone close now. Gifts for special occasions that people plan and decide themselves doesn't make much sense to me, but I understand that's a me thing. I'm not dishing $200 for anyone, especially a coworker who uninvited me. If I'm not important enough to be at the wedding, they aren't important enough to receive a gift. Next story. Am I the a-hole for cutting my friend off for breaking up with her sick fiancé? I, 20 female, recently cut off a friend, Reagan, 26 female, for breaking up with her fiancé when he found out he was diagnosed with cancer. To make it clear, it sucks that he's going through something like that, but I also know Reagan's allowed to have preferences or limits in a relationship. From my understanding, she was really happy with him, and after a slew of really bad relationships, he was great to her. So obviously, I was surprised when she told me she wasn't speaking with him anymore, and that she'd broken off their engagement. I asked why, and she told me he had cancer and she didn't want to deal with that. Firstly, how is anyone's first reaction to break up when finding out the man they're going to marry is sick? He is in a vulnerable position, and he's helped her through so much over the past few years. And she didn't think about any of that when she broke it off? Obviously, I told her I think she should reconsider. I was diagnosed with a rare disease when I was a teenager, and it would break my heart if my significant other left me solely because of something I have zero control over. She basically told me I was projecting because I'm basically in the same boat as him, and told me I was being selfish and only thinking about my emotions and not about hers. Her justification was that she needed to think about her future, and she didn't want to tie herself down to someone and have to deal with his sickness for the rest of her life. I get the sentiment, sort of, but she basically just implied that if you're sick, you're not entitled to being loved unconditionally. I haven't spoken to her since, and I sent her boyfriend a card and let him know that if he ever needs to talk about navigating the diagnosis, I'd be here. She reached out to apologize, but honestly, I don't want to hear it. Not only did she leave a wonderful guy when he was in a vulnerable position, but she basically told me that I shouldn't expect people to love me or stick around because I'm also sick. Well, she certainly wasn't going to take her vows seriously, was she? In sickness and health, not the a-hole. Literally this. Things were going pretty great for her when he'd drop everything for her the minute she needed him. But when he needed her, she literally didn't wait 2 days before telling him she deserved better for herself than a man who was sick. I had an uncle like this. He and his wife were incapable of being social with people that had an illness or any other misfortune that made someone not someone that could lift up their lives. We hadn't heard from them for years after my mother got her cancer diagnosis. Then, when they found out through someone in the family that my husband and I got married and bought a house that was, by definition in their country, a very spacious one with a lot of land, suddenly they wanted to catch up. But when my mom got the news she wasn't going to get better, and we asked them to come see her on her birthday because it could very well be her last, they couldn't be bothered and told us that they would appreciate just getting updates from another uncle. He stopped being anything to me at that moment. I heard he died alone because his wife didn't want to be tied down when he got sick, and she just kept working and not bothering with him. No divorce, though. That would be shameful. I didn't go to his funeral. When an aunt asked if I wanted to come, and I told her why not, she said she was disappointed he was already dead because she would have killed him for the way he treated my sister and me around the time Mom passed. It's your friend's choice to drop her fiancé because of his health. It's your choice to drop her because of her acting like a twat. Sorry, inconsiderate human being. Not the a-hole. This hits very close to home for you, so your reaction makes total sense. The card you sent was very, very sweet. Poor man. You both deserve much better. I am sorry you lost a friend in the process. Not the a-hole, obviously. I hope he gets the support he needs to navigate this. It's so difficult to go through something like this when you're still relatively young. I think he's 27 to 28. And I hope when things start looking up for him, he finds himself a woman who will stick with him through sickness and health. This situation is honestly making me lose hope in relationships, and I know it's something I'll think about in future relationships, and that sucks. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my friends for keeping my boyfriend's cheating a secret? I just got out of a 6-year relationship after finding out my boyfriend had been cheating on me for months. The worst part? Almost all of my closest friends knew, and no one told me. We've all been part of the same friend group since college, hanging out every weekend, taking trips together, and supporting each other through everything. Or so I thought. A few weeks ago, I got a message from a girl I didn't know. She told me she had been seeing my boyfriend and just found out he was in a relationship. At first, I thought she was lying or mistaken, but she sent screenshots, texts, photos, even a video of them together. I felt like my whole world shattered. When I confronted my boyfriend, he admitted everything. He had been cheating for nearly a year, and my friends knew. They saw him flirting at parties, caught him sneaking off with her, and even overheard conversations about it. When I asked them why they didn't tell me, they gave me excuses. It wasn't our place. We didn't want to be involved. We thought you might already know. I was devastated. These were the people I trusted the most, and they let me be blindsided. I cut off my ex immediately, but my friends? That's been harder. Some have apologized, saying they feel awful, while others are acting like I'm overreacting. They keep inviting me to things, expecting everything to go back to normal, but I can't look at them the same way. Now they're saying I'm being unfair by holding this against them, that I shouldn't throw away years of friendship over this. But they knew, they saw, and they chose to stay silent while I was being lied to. Now they expect me to just move on like nothing happened? But how can I ever trust them again? Am I the a-hole? You're justified in feeling betrayed. Your boyfriend cheated for months while your friends, who saw everything, kept silent, putting their comfort above your well-being. It's natural to pull back from both him and those friends who failed you, and setting boundaries or taking space isn't overreacting, but a healthy way to protect yourself. True trust can only return if they acknowledge the hurt they caused and consistently show honesty and support moving forward. Until then, it's fair to prioritize relationships that respect and defend you. It's amazing that they said they didn't think it was their place or didn't want to be involved. If not your friends, who else should be involved? I mean a freaking stranger who allegedly just found out he was in a relationship, told her. If a stranger can understand that OP deserved to know, why would her friends think she didn't? Not the a-hole. They have proven they can't be trusted, and just like her boyfriend, they have to face the consequences of their actions, which means they are no longer friends. They're crappy people and not your friends. They know damn well that if the roles were reversed, they would have wanted you to say something. Tell them to buzz all the way off. This right here, they can all buzz off and keep on buzzing off till the end of time. I have to say that the friends are damned if they do and damned if they don't. Because from personal experience, I can say that being the person who tells their friend they are being cheated on is a thankless task, and often ends with the friend getting all the fallout from the situation and losing the friend anyway. Many people don't want to believe it, and when confronted, the cheater will often try to discredit the teller by claiming that the teller made passes at them and is just making this up out of jealousy or some other nonsense, and the cheated on will often believe it. By the time the truth is out in the open and the teller is vindicated, the damage is irreparable. All of this is true. You can't know how a friend is going to react to this kind of news or to the messenger. Many times, the couple gang up on the messenger, and friends are lost when people believe they are doing the right thing by saying something. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not taking my absent ex to our son's wedding? I'm really at a loss here, and I need your help, Reddit. My ex and I had a brief high school romance that ended with a surprise pregnancy and with him cheating on me. Before he cheated, his mom sat down with my parents, himself and me, making all kinds of promises about what the future would hold for my unborn child. She promised he would not only be involved in the baby's life, but also help to support the baby. Surprise, surprise, that didn't turn out to be the case at all. Instead, I found out about the cheating, broke up with him, and apparently, that meant he had no responsibility for the baby anymore. Child support was ordered, but only paid out in the most minimal amounts when jail was threatened, so he owes plenty in arrears to this day. But we will never see a dime of it, and I've come to accept that, and am honestly fine with it, as my husband and I have worked hard to provide for my eldest and his siblings anyway. I should add that my husband stepped in and stepped up when my eldest was only 9 months old, and has loved him as his own ever since. Fast forward several years, and my eldest is grown now and preparing to marry his true love next week. I'm so excited for them. However, my ex is still irresponsible and does not own a car or have a driver's license. My son has asked my husband and me if we can transport the ex back and forth to their wedding reception so he can be there as well. The trip will take approximately 3 hours round trip. I should stress that my ex has been inconsistent with visits as our son has grown up, let him down several times, refused to hold jobs so he can collect disability and do drugs instead, and couldn't be bothered to help contribute to much of anything our son needed financially. This forced my husband and me to make several sacrifices over the years, which we did out of love without a second thought. But the hardest part was always seeing the look on my son's face when his father would let him down in one way or another. I tried to suggest alternative arrangements, such as my son picking him up a day or so before the wedding and staying with him, or him getting a ride with someone he knows instead of our family. Heck, even a Greyhound would work. Nothing I suggest seems to work out for one reason or another, though. I have a hard time telling my son no directly, so I wanted to give him another option without having to discuss the past bad blood between all of us. My husband has no respect for the ex, and neither do I. This morning it came to a head when our son asked us once again if we could do it, as the alternatives just wouldn't work. My husband called him before I had a chance to, knowing I tend to sugarcoat things and wouldn't be as direct as was needed. He told him in no uncertain terms that it was a pretty big ask, and that it was simply something we could not do. He said there was no way he could sit in the car with that man without screaming at him or choking him for all that he has done in the past, and that we shouldn't have to. We are cordial to him when we are together at any event, but to be contained in our own vehicle and expected to cater to his needs is on a whole different level. While we would do anything for our son, we still have boundaries. My husband asked him not to be mad at us, but I suspect he is, as he hasn't returned my phone call yet. I'm hoping he's just taking some time to look at things from our perspective, or come up with other arrangements for his father to be at his reception. I just wish my ex would take that responsibility on himself instead of adding that stress onto the soon-to-be-wed couple. So there you have it, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for saying no to protect our peace after all that's happened over the years? Not the a-hole. Your son is simply asking too much. No is no. I wouldn't do that with my ex either. He is a terrible person also. Can't someone from his dad's side of the family bring him? It's a very small affair, and he decided not to invite anyone from his side of the family. Who decides that all the alternatives won't work? That is selfish. I am an adult male and I make it work. Car goes into the shop. Guess who takes a bus that day? Drive a family member to see a concert 2 states over? Guess who gets to spend $1,000 to get the tie rods, muffler, and other things fixed? Adult. This is not a disabled child we are talking about. It is a grown man who somehow had the ability to get his square peg into the round hole to have a child, but can't seem to do anything else. Don't feel guilty. Remind son that what he is asking is for 2 adults who seem to function in life to rescue someone who doesn't even know how public and private transportation work. And why doesn't the father's family bring him with them? Probably because he has burned all of those bridges as well. Her son is pretty ballsy for asking this of the people who actually raised him without the bio dad really in the picture. Some people just don't care about the people who love them and chase down fantasy relationships. Just sad. I thought of that. What fantasy does the son have in his head if the bio dad shows up? I picture Cousin Eddie standing at the sewer say, "Crapper's full." If it's important to the ex to be there for his son, the ex should be the one to arrange to be there for his son. It's the ex who should be doing the arrangements for his own grown-ass self. I feel the same way. I'm just torn because of how much I know it means to my son. You have sacrificed enough for the deadbeat father. No is no. Stick to your guns, or you will be disrespecting your husband who has moved mountains for your son.